Just gonna check for a name. No name, it's a ginger jar.
Today is officially the last day of school, and therefore possibly my last full day of thrifting. So I am going to make the most of it and get to as many stores as I can today. I am starting off at the Shepard Center, which is somewhere that I used to thrift all the time when I had a shop because it was right around the corner. And I always find the most amazing one off pieces there. Furniture, lamps, art is a big one here. So let's go ahead inside and see what they got. And then I'm going to head up to Salvation Army, and we'll see where else the day takes us. But I'm going to get the most I can out of my final days before summer break. All right, let's go.
I actually haven't been in this store for quite some time because I just don't get up this way anymore. Immediately I spotted this cane chair. I loved the brown color of the velvet cushion. This small table was the perfect size. Unfortunately, I could not find a price on it, but I love finding little tables like that. They're so useful. These were pretty interesting. I'm not sure where they came out of, but I have some questions. Like, what is that stain? Around the corner though, I spotted another neat little side table. This one had a drawer. It was only $30. I would come back on half price day. Coming over to the smalls, I first noticed this basket up here. It was priced at $40, so I said there must be something inside of it, and yes, it was a picnic basket with all of the accessories inside. Cute, but not necessarily worth $40 in my opinion. Right behind it, I found this wall sconce. I thought maybe it would be Sirocco, but I did not find any markings on the back. But I just thought it was a really neat piece. I've never found one like this before. I've been seeing so many of these copper tins ever since I posted that one photo with all of the copper. I haven't found one that I need to have yet though. There were these little, I think they're like warming stones, correct me if I'm wrong. You'd put them in like the basket with bread, or this one's got a picture of a pie. There were these Nordic ware bunt pans. They were $30 each. Very cool, brand new, but I left those there. These I just thought were such a beautiful color. They were so delicate. I was trying to get a better look at the color. It's very dark in this store. And these over here look like little mini trifles. Like, I just want to put banana pudding in these little individual servings. I don't know if that's their actual use. That's what I'd use them for. I loved this pottery wine jug with the 4 cups. I looked it up. It was 1970s, I believe is what it said. This was in perfect condition. It's pottery craft, and it had all 5 pieces for $5.99. So I did end up taking this one with me. I love finding pottery. I love finding unique pottery, and to me this was pretty unique. You can see this store is laid out very easy to look at. I spotted these. They're definitely handmade, hand-blown glass. I believe they're candlestick holders. There's no holes to lead me to think it's anything bad. There was this little butterfly Kentucky souvenir dish, which was just darling. And then there was also this Arizona souvenir. That was really cute. I debated on getting that, but I've never been to Arizona, so I left it behind. This is where they keep the things they feel are more valuable or ornate. I spotted this silver-looking vase. It was made in India, and I just thought it was a really neat looking piece. I never find like silver vases. This takes me back to the brass one that I passed up. This one was only $3.99. I probably should have gotten it, but I use more brass than silver. I am suddenly finding all kinds of white pottery that I love. This little pitcher was just so minimal. I could see several uses for that. And then I found another little white pitcher. This one was more decorative. This one was $3.99, which was a steal. There was no damage to it either. This little thing caught my eye with the flowers and the gold accents. It was stunning, but it was $19.99, and I didn't need it that badly. And there were these coasters. I usually pick up anything that's got a peacock on it, but for $11.99, I do not need more coasters. I loved this floral plate down here. I believe it was $6.99 or $5.99. And then this Red Mountain pottery was $12.99. I actually think that's a fair price for pottery. I will say that this store does do a lot of community outreach. They have a food pantry. So I think sometimes their higher prices can be justified. They also have a lot of sale days. So while it may be initial sticker shock, it's for a good cause. There was a brass apple bell and then 2 brass pear bells. They were $5.99 a piece. These candlestick holders were really beautiful. They were $34.99 and they said Romeo and Juliet on them. And then I found a pile of little miniature dollhouse furniture. I think it's the kind that you have to put together yourself. I actually didn't note the prices on these ones. I was just checking out what they had there. I love miniature things, but I'm not very crafty, so I didn't get any of those. Plus, we don't have a dollhouse. I found this little, maybe a trivet. I've seen the teacups, the saucers, and the teapot before. Maybe this was to set the teapot on. There was another brass bell. It was $8.99. I just love brass, but I definitely don't need a bell around my house. These lamps were super ornate. I think they were around $100 a piece though, but I just thought they were really cool. I love these capiz shell lamps back here. They were a very unique shape. They'd be good in like a little narrow space. They always have a pretty good lamp selection. I loved this tiny little one. I thought it would be perfect like in the kitchen. You know how everyone's doing kitchen lamps now? So this was $3.99. I did think about getting this one, but as you'll see, I found a beautiful pair of crystal lamps hiding amongst all of the others. They were only $6.99 each, so I had to pick them up and check them out. Popped them in the cart, and sure enough, they stayed there. I may need to rewire them, but I absolutely love them. They have so many dish sets. This is just one section of the dish sets. I spotted this one that I thought had like a Mackenzie Childs vibe, but it was not Mackenzie Childs. Still kind of beautiful though. This tea set caught my eye. I'm not even sure what type of metal it is, but it had all of the pieces here, and it was $14.99, which is probably a reasonable price depending on what it's made of. And this iridescent bowl just caught my eye. I had to pick it up. As you can see, they always have just a collection of really unique pieces, and it's laid out very easily to shop. They clean everything up. There were these Aboriginal placemats or trivets. I have found coasters before, but I've never seen like the placemats. I know these little wood houses are pretty popular. I don't know much about them, but there was a full collection up there. I spotted these Fitz and Floyd goblets. They have like the seashell. This is not my favorite type of Fitz and Floyd. I'm sorry if you love it. It's just a little strange looking to me. I always find the best kitschy little trinkets in this store. They just have so many random unique pieces. This I thought was really neat. I don't think this is the original shade for it because the shade said it was made in China, but this was an oil lamp, and I know that because I spilled the oil on myself. They had a ton of silver and silver plate. I really loved this very unique, I believe it's for sugar, and it had the little scoop inside. And then there was this gravy boat up here. I was trying to figure it out for a second there, but it lifts off. And then in the base, there's a spot you could put maybe like a little sterno or a tea light. I thought this was really unique. I've never found something like this before. I wish I had a reason to buy it for myself. Just like these chafing dishes. Whenever I see these, I just really want to have like an ornate brunch at my house. Maybe one day I will. This little glass and silver jar was super cute. You know I'm a sucker for a lidded jar. And I spotted this behind it. I'm not even sure what it was originally for, but is it weird that I thought it would make a good phone holder on my side table? I did not get it though. This guy was kind of cool. He was a candle holder. I don't think he was old though. I think he's a more modern piece. He just felt newer. Oh, I just noticed those candlesticks next to him. There was a little frosted fairy lamp up here. And then they also have like a little flea market section in the back. These bins must be waiting to go out there because this is usually what they look like. It is typically outdoors though. I was just picking through to see if there was anything that caught my eye. Nothing super amazing. The stuff in these bins is usually pretty cheap, and every once in a while you'll find a good little treasure in them. Over with the large art, I spotted these seagulls. I loved the colors of this. It was numbered and signed, but unfortunately there was some water damage down there in the corner. Still love them though. I always buy the best art here. I found this stained glass piece. It did have some damage to it, and it had the letter K on it, and I couldn't think of anyone I know that has the letter K. If your name begins with K, I'm very sorry to leave this behind. There was this original painting. I probably would have purchased this if this was the style of my house. Sometimes the art is half off, and that's usually when I end up stocking up on art I don't need. I've never seen a Polish pottery paper towel holder, so I thought that was neat, but it was $40, so there it stayed. And then I spotted this Tanala mug, and I love Tanala. However, it was priced at $14.99, and I cannot bring myself to spend that much on a mug, especially when I'm at a thrift store. But like I said, this thrift store does do a lot of good for its community. I am just a cheap person. There was a full set of these glasses. They were $7.99 a piece. And back over at the art, there were all of these fishing themed pieces. My brother fishes, however, he fishes saltwater, and I had a feeling these were freshwater fish. And if you know you don't mix those. This buffet was absolutely stunning. It was priced at $199.99, which I feel is pretty reasonable. It was in great condition. I absolutely loved this old teacher's desk. I wish I had the space for this. I absolutely would have scooped it up for $50. And then I spotted this barrister bookcase behind it, and it was missing a piece of glass, and it was still $500. So, we're kind of all over the place with pricing, but I do think they do some research on the value of certain pieces. And here is the cart shot.
Okay, I think overall that was a great trip. I spent $16 total. The lamps were 25% off. So I got the 2 crystal lamps. I saw they have a Made in Poland sticker on them. So I think they're going to clean up really nicely. I might try to rewire them as well. So I got the 2 lamps, and I got the pottery wine set just because I thought that was a really cool find. And I pick up pottery whenever I can. That was $5.99, I think. So in total, I spent $16, and I think that was a very successful trip. So now I'm going to head up to Salvation Army.
Now, you guys might think I'm crazy, but I like to avoid Salvation Army on Wednesdays because it's half price day and it is just too crowded for me to take my time and peruse, so I try to come on Thursdays. The first thing that caught my eye was this maybe buffet with the Kenwood speakers on top. The speakers were in immaculate condition. They were priced at $149.99. So there they stayed, but they were absolutely stunning. I have been looking for a vintage bed for my kids. These are not the style that I wanted, but I loved that they had two. I found this tea jar. I have some of the other ones. This was $3.99, but I felt that the metal part was just not in the best shape, so I wouldn't be able to use it. So I left that there. The shelves were a little more sparse this time than the last time I was up at this location, so I wasn't feeling super hopeful. I loved this little crystal vase. The shape of it was everything. I'm looking at it wishing I did get it. It was $1.99, and then the little bud vase next to it was also $1.99. They were so sparkly and clear. I find these soup cups all the time, but I recently saw a picture on Pinterest of someone growing like green onions in the onion soup cup, which I thought was a great idea. This I thought was funny because Jack Madden Ford is where my family used to get their cars when we lived up in Massachusetts. This was $3.99 and half off, but I did leave it behind. It was just very nostalgic. I'm not even gonna say it. I'm just gonna check for a name. No name, it's a ginger jar. Enjoy. This was super questionable. A blueberry crumble ingredient jar at the Salvation Army. I can't believe they put that on the shelf. This I thought might be stained glass, but I think it was just like a little hobby piece, painted glass. Another piece of white pottery that I thought was beautiful, and it was half off. I may have to start collecting white pottery because not only did I find that, but I found another white pitcher, and wouldn't they all just look so lovely in my cabinet together? This one was also half off at $3.99. I found this very unique tea kettle. I actually haven't looked it up or anything. It was just really cool. $6.99 for that and half off. Again, everything was half off. I believe they changed the color on Thursday. These pumpkins were pretty popular this past season, weren't they? This was like $7 and half off, and I just love the colors. Next to it, I found this stack of creamers. They were Dansk, and they were also half off, $2.99. I picked them up to take a look, but one of them was cracked, and I wasn't willing to take the risk on the one underneath it. There was this copper leaf made in the USA. Again, half off. If I start collecting copper, I have been in so much luck finding it. This was a really neat piece. And I have never been to Ocean City, Maryland, but was I tempted to get this mug? Absolutely. Are there palm trees in Ocean City, Maryland? Can someone tell me that? Just wondering. I left that there. This guy, I just had to make sure he wasn't sitting on the toilet. I was a little concerned for him. There were these stacking milk glass cups. They were washed from whatever they had said. I believe it says Arc, maybe? I checked the other one just to see if they were all the same, and it also was Arc and dishwasher did. So those stayed. I wanted to check these bowls to see if they were made in Italy, but they were not. And then look at this tiny pitcher. It was so small, $2.99, and looking back at it, I again wish I had gotten it, but I exercised some restraint and I left it behind. Over in the red section, there was this hand-blown crackle glass apple or tomato. I'm not sure, which do you think it is? It was $1.99. And then over in the yellow, I thought this little Santa plate was cute, Santa's treat. I thought maybe it was gonna be handmade, but I didn't see a signature or anything. It was $1.99 and half off. I swear everything I picked up was the color of the day. Also, this little bag of angels. Oh, they were so cute. $2.99 and half off. This one was marked Japan. And I know the other two are older as well. Someone will be very excited to find those. Coming around the corner, I saw 2 soup mugs. This one has all the weird little vegetables on it. And then this one with the speckled and flower pattern on it. I see the speckled ones quite a bit, but I never really find one that looks like this. So for $1.99, this one is coming home with me. I love soup mugs, and yes, I use them for soup as well as ice cream. This was a really cool candle holder. When I looked it up, it said brass. Didn't seem to be brass to me. It was $2.99 and half off. I did leave this one behind though. I may regret that. This box was pretty ornate. It did have a little bit of damage. It was $2.99 and half off. I had to make sure there were no remains inside. No signatures or anything, just a very beautiful color and well-painted box. But you can see the damage there on the front. This is where I noticed that that creamer was cracked, so I did put that down. I liked this little framed art. It was a little floral. It was made in China, but I still think it was an older piece. I was very tempted to get this. And then I also liked some of these frames they had here, like this very ornate brass one. I do think it's a newer one, but still a great deal. Frames are not cheap anymore. There were these little left-in ladies. They were also half off, and they didn't have much damage, which was surprising because they have those delicate flowers on them. And then I saw this bear and I thought maybe it was just like a party favor, but when I picked it up, it was super heavy. So then I knew I had to take a second look at him. And what I saw was that he may be a Fenton bear. He was $1.99. So I was like, okay, for $1, I'll take the risk. He did have a little damage to his rose right there, but I did decide to take him home anyway. I took a look at the furniture, but there was nothing super amazing to catch my eye. I liked these yellow couches of all the things that were there. I just really liked the shape of the arm and the back of it. I believe they were $100 a piece. Might have been $1.99 a piece. But there were 2 and they were the same size. And then as I was walking to check out, I spotted this and I loved it, but I just couldn't decide what I would do with it, so I left it.
Well, not a whole lot in there, but I did find what I believe is a Fenton glass bear. So I'm going to open up. Let me see if I can prop my phone up over here. So here's the bear. He does have a little bit of damage on this rose here, but when I image searched, they said it was Fenton. And as you can see, there is a sticker underneath the sticker. Yeah, I can already see just by looking at it that it does say Fenton. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be peeling that off though, getting this sticker off. But still a very cool find, tiny bit of damage on him, but I just think that's really neat. I paid $1. Paid $1 for this Fenton bear. So that was a good find today. Other than that, I got my weird little soup mug, and yeah, I'm gonna stop at one more store at least on the way back. It's only 11 o'clock. I could probably hit 2, so let's see what we can do.
All right, I'm sorry for the crazy camera work, but we were running from the rain at this point because it was coming in. This store always has a ton of lamps outside as well as their furniture. Not usually a whole lot for furniture, but there is usually some cool lamps. Like I loved this brass one, just the shape of it was really unique. I could really be a lamp hoarder. I find lamps everywhere I go. It wasn't too busy in here today. They did have all the carts out, putting things out. This Mountain Dew bottle looked good. But I did like this little green bottle. It was heavy. It was $2.95. Something to keep in mind is that I am on their mailing list, so everything will be half off of the price that it's marked. I spotted this kind of cool like 80s, 90s art over there with the flowers. And then I flipped through really quickly, but I didn't see anything. Usually I could tell by the frames if there's gonna be something worth looking at, and I didn't see any frames that caught my eye. Coming down the plates and mug aisle, as you can see, it is always well stocked. I stopped to take a look if this set down here was Fiesta, but it was not, just very similar colors to Fiesta. I have bought a great many plates from this store. I noticed the little starburst pattern on these, and I looked them up, and they were a luncheon set. They're made in Japan, and they were $4.95, I think, for the full set, but they should have had cups to go with them. So then I undertook the task of trying to locate the cups. I'll come back to those teacups. But as you can see, there is no shortage of teacups and mugs in this store. Let this be your PSA. Do not buy mugs new. Go to a thrift store if you need a new mug. Everywhere I go, there is a huge selection of mugs. Unfortunately, I was unable to locate the cups to go with the luncheon sets, so I was not able to get those. Not that I necessarily needed them. I found all of these teacups, which were in amazing condition. It was definitely someone's full collection. They were only $2.95 plus half off. So that's a great price for cup and saucer sets. Usually I'm trying to piece them together, but they had them taped nicely, and they use masking tape, which I like because it doesn't peel off any of the paint. I left those, but then I spotted this cream and sugar, and do I need it? Absolutely not. But I absolutely thought it was the most adorable set, so I had to get it. And it had started really pouring now, so I just settled in with a cart. This one with the hangers had to do. This piece, I wasn't sure if it was like a mass-produced piece. It looked like it was stamped on the bottom, but I'm honestly not even sure what it was used for. Maybe chip and dip? These green bowls looked kind of cool. I wasn't sure if they were gonna glow or not, but I looked them up, and apparently they are Pyrex. Coming along the clear glass, I noticed this lidded dish, which I think is an early American glass piece. I don't know much about early American glass though, but I thought it was a neat piece. These glasses are following me now, y'all. I found those two Libbies, and then there was some more on the other side. These I don't think are old, but I thought they were really beautiful candlestick holders. I was looking for the price on this one, but then I thought maybe the X meant that they were set. So I checked, and the third one had the price 3 pieces for $12.95 and half off. What a great deal for those. This pottery piece had me confused. Could someone tell me what this would be used for? It was $4.95, maybe that says. And it was signed and dated. I believe it was 88. I wasn't sure what it was for though. I'm sure someone will know. And then this piece of handmade pottery behind it looked like it matched, but then the stamp on the bottom didn't match. So I'm not entirely sure, but look at them next to each other. They have to have gone together, right? Am I crazy? This is definitely the kind of store where you have to search, but you can find treasure. Like this blue pitcher, it was $5.95, and it was in perfect condition. If I still had a booth or I was still reselling, I would definitely pick that piece up. It's not my style though. These I was very hung up on. They appear to be milk glass with hand-painted flowers on them. I tried looking them up, but I couldn't find anything on them. They were just so well done. I don't know if someone painted these or if they are actually something. If you know, please let me know, because I thought they were absolutely stunning and the colors were beautiful. They were marked $6.98 a piece. These two huge vases up top were absolutely stunning. The colors were so beautiful. They were only $14.95 each, plus half off. I think I'm gonna have to change the decor in my house. There was this hobnail glass piece, which I think is part of a lamp, maybe? I didn't find any other pieces though. There was this piece of handmade pottery. I believe it would be a candle holder. It was signed and it was only $9.95 plus half off. I put it in the cart for a little bit, but I decided it really didn't have a place in my house, and even if I was gonna resell it, I would be way too scared to ship this, so I did leave it behind. This I thought was interesting. I've never heard of this designer, but it was basically just a giant ceramic button. I think it's meant to be like a little trinket dish, or maybe just a piece of decor. But it is by Ume Studio, and I thought it was really neat. I didn't end up getting it though. There were a couple of cherub candle holders. They were only $2.95. I found this carnival glass candle holder, I think. It had a little bit of damage on the edge and they had $9.95 on it, so that was a little bit pricey for what it was. You could see the damage there. It was a little chip. And then I'm not even sure what I'm looking at here. It was like a bunch of dogs all intertwined, and I think it was a candle holder. I'm not even entirely sure, but it was so absurd that I had to get it. It was $2.95. I believe it's carved wood. That definitely came home with me. I love weird things. And then I also loved this horse up here. I'm not really sure what he was made of. It was very lightweight. If you've been watching my videos, you know I always pick up and look at unicorns. This guy was $4.95. He was hand painted and made in Taiwan. Normally this is something I would definitely purchase, but I did leave him today. These little ladies sharing the umbrella were so adorable. I love their sweet little faces. This was a Yankee candle, one of those candle toppers. It was $4.95. I just loved that it looked like a piece of handmade pottery. There were some more carts down the back, which I love because usually they're not picked over yet. Over on one I found these Monkey Pod pineapple bowls, the full set. It was $8.95. This one mostly had like toys and games on it, so there wasn't a whole lot to look at. But I did like these stools. I think they are children's stools. I'm not sure if they're older or just painted to look older, but they were pretty sweet. This was very confusing to me because it did look like pottery, but it felt like plastic. I was very confused by that piece. And back over on the other cart, I found this extremely heavy wood ice bucket. I did see someone later with it in their cart. This blanket caught my eye and I loved the colors on it. It was only $4.99, but I don't understand the orange on the edge. And I couldn't look past that orange, so I left this behind. From across the aisle, I spotted this hobnail milk glass lamp. I reached across. I was very brave. I was really trusting in this tape that was holding that top on. It was $14.99. Please don't yell at me. I did not break it. And as I was leaving, I spotted this goose with all the baby geese. I believe it's a cracker tray, and it's by Fitz and Floyd. They had $5.95. The sticker was $3.99. I still got him though, along with my cream and sugar and the weird little dog thing.
Okay, no, I did not really need anything that I got in there. I did get my daughter some canvases. She likes to do art. But I got the goose cracker tray, and I got the cream and sugar with the little fruit on it, and the weird little dog candle holder. So no, I didn't need any of those things, but how could I say no to those? All right, that was store number 3. I am starving, so I'm gonna go home. It has been a great day thrifting with you. I look forward to posting these videos every week, so check back every week. I try to upload them on Fridays, and you can follow me here and on Facebook for daily reels and shorts where I share either thrifting content or vintage style inspiration, all kinds of things. So thank you so much for sticking around. Make sure you are subscribed, hit like so I know you like this content, and I will see you again next week.